Hey guys, it's Dinohunter here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at some reptile myths. Now there are definitely quite a few reptile myths, and that's because I think a lot of people don't really like reptiles, so making up myths to make them hate them even more is quite a logical thing to do for them, but obviously not for us. So let's take a look at some of them and debunk them. First is that snakes chase people. That's not true. In reality, snakes are very scared of people, and they view humans as a huge predator, not prey. So a snake's number one option is always to get away and avoid conflict with humans. Even venomous snakes get away. This is because no snake, not a king cobra or a black mamba, would win a fight with a human. The snake's venom may take effect and kill the person tomorrow, but that doesn't help the snake right now. The human could kill the snake in 1 second. And then if you look in the top right, you can see a very nice meme about this very thing. Then we have that reptiles are stupid. Firstly, humans are terrible at measuring animal intelligence. We measure them on how well they can perform human activities, which is why we think that primates are so smart, because they are so similar to us, or the most similar to us. But in reality, most animals don't have to pay taxes or do maths. They are smart in their own regard. Monitor lizards are incredibly smart. They have a brain likened to that of birds, and we all know how smart birds are. Then in the bottom you can see a crocodile monitor, which is one of the smartest of all the monitors. Then we have snakes have no bones, and this is definitely not true. Snakes are vertebrates, which means that they have a backbone or spine, both of which means that they have bones. Snakes have many vertebrae and ribs that run all the way down the body, not to mention their skull. Next is that snakes dislocate their jaw when eating. This is definitely believable, but not true. Snakes don't dislocate their jaw when they eat. Instead, they do something that might be even cooler. Snakes' lower mandibles aren't attached at the chin. This means that they can move independently of one another. And snakes use this to walk their prey into their mouth, with one mandible moving forward and the next one moving after that. You can see in the top right how the snake's mandibles at the bottom aren't attached. Then we have that reptiles are expensive. And while it is true that certain reptiles and reptile morphs are very expensive, if you just want a pet reptile, they're much cheaper than even dogs. Buying the animal is only a little bit of the cost though. UV lights, food, and enclosure are a few added costs, although they don't add up anywhere near the cost of owning a dog or a cat. In the bottom right, you can see a Borneo earless monitor, which is one of the most rare species of reptiles and therefore very expensive. Next we have that snakes are slimy, which isn't true. They feel smooth, some can even feel silky. They're also soft. If you hold a bigger snake especially, you can feel the incredible muscle that snake has. Next we have that snakes taste the air. This is almost true, but not quite. Snakes stick their tongue out and collect scent molecules on their tongues. The tongue then goes back into their mouth, and the scent particles travel up to a special organ called the Jacobson's organ. This organ is found in the roof of the mouth, and is what allows the snake to smell. In the picture there you can see that just to the left of the nerve, you have the Jacobson's organ. Snakes can't strike underwater. This is definitely not true. In fact, sea snakes' whole existence depends on them being able to strike underwater. But it's not just sea snakes. There's nothing preventing a normal snake from striking underwater, just like there's nothing preventing a shark from biting on land. Next we have that some snakes are vegetarian. All snakes are carnivores. However, being a vegetarian for other animals is not the same thing as for humans. Herbivorous animals can very find carcasses and eat them, the same way that carnivores can rarely eat plants. They are still physically able to eat plants, or for herbivores, meat. We call animals herbivores or carnivores based on their primary diet, which they eat 99% of the time, as that is what they are designed to do. In the top right you can see a tortoise, and tortoises are often considered to be herbivores, which is what they are. But in the wild, when a tortoise comes across a carcass, They can eat the leftover meat and will almost always eat the bones, as they help with trimming their beak and also with calcium. Then we have snakes are deaf, and this is not entirely true. It is true that snakes don't possess external ears, but snakes aren't deaf. They have internal ears that allow them to pick up on vibrations, and these ears also allow them to pick up on very specific airborne sounds as well. Snakes can hear, just not to the same level that we can. Then we have that all lizards have legs. The vast majority of lizards have legs, except for the legless lizards, and like the name suggests, they don't have legs. There are a few ways you can tell a snake from a lizard without the help of legs. For one, external ears. On most lizards, you'll be able to see an ear opening. The presence of eyelids that can close is also another way to tell the difference. Then we have that snakes travel in pairs. Snakes are solitary animals. They only come together in the breeding season, and when that's finished, they are more than happy to be by themselves. There's also no way that a snake can magically know when you've hurt its friend and should come to seek revenge. You can definitely encounter two snakes at once during breeding season, but you will know that you found two snakes at the same time. The other one isn't going to hunt you down. It's not just going to stalk you around and wait to seek revenge and bite you. That's just not true. At the top you can see two eastern green mambas. Then we have the hoop snake. And get ready for this one, this is a good one. So there's a story behind this one. And that is that a man angered a snake on a hill. The man saw the snake and ran down the hill. The snake then bit its own tail, curled up into a ball, and rolled down the hill to chase the man. First, there is no such thing as a hoop snake. But snakes like the ball python do curl up into a ball, but they don't bite their tail. You can see how ball pythons look down there. Also, I'd be very surprised if you managed to find a snake that chases a man down a hill in a ball. That's very interesting. Next we have that pythons suffocate their prey. And this is arguably the most believable myth in this video. It has been recently discovered that constrictors actually cut off blood circulation. This in turn causes a cardiac arrest for the victim. Breathing will stop after that. Also, it's not only pythons that suffocate their prey. Snakes such as boas, and also some smaller snakes like colubrids such as moke snakes, rat snakes also suffocate their prey. They're also constrictors. Then we have that rattlesnakes always rattle before striking. Rattlesnakes rattle when they want to warn an animal of their presence, because they don't want to have to strike anything that's not prey. Most rattlesnake bites happen when people pick them up, and a rattlesnake that has already been picked up doesn't have to let anything know that it is there. Another bite scenario is when it is stepped on. In this case, the snake wouldn't have a chance to rattle before it bites. Then we have that rattlesnakes add one segment every year. This is not true. Rattlesnakes add one segment every time that they shed. This, combined with the fact that they can easily lose a segment, means that it is impossible to tell a rattlesnake's age from its tail. At the bottom you can see an eastern Massasauga rattlesnake. And then rounding off the video with the third rattlesnake myth in a row, we have a myth that is definitely believable. And that is that rattlesnakes have beads in their tails. Rattlesnakes' tails are hollow. The rattling noise is produced by the segments of the tail rubbing together. At the bottom you can see a Mojave rattlesnake that is probably upset with something. Maybe it's the person taking the photo, and it is warning them of its presence. You can see the tail rattling in the picture. And with that, it brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed and that you learned something, and I'll see you next time. Bye!